It's right here.
This takes place in 1715. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get to the screening yesterday. So can you talk about how do they pick the language that you're going to use? Do you all have the same accents? And are you going to be using more old-fashioned English than the modern day?
Well, it's actually an interesting question. We have French accents, we have Dutch accents, obviously we have English accents. I mean, don't forget, most of this was based on guys that were either escaping from the Royal Navy, the British Royal Navy, or were picked up from colonies of the British Empire at the time. So English is, the language that's used most of the time in the show. But we have all kinds of French accents, we have British accents, we have Yorkshire accents, we have regional accents. We have all kinds of accents, yeah, and it is English, and I tried to throw in a couple of old English words, which I think have been retained in the final edit, one of them being bollocks, because that was something I just wanted to add into the show for my own amusement. So we have added a lot of phrases and stuff the way it would have been spoken.
Yeah, I think when the question was about the accents that the show. And I think we're actually a good three people to talk to about it because, like you said, she's doing a French accent, I'm doing an English accent. He's luckily from the Midwest, he's got his own. And we have a lot of Australian actors and a lot of local South Africans as well. And so there was actually a number of dialect coaches. And this was something early on in the process that was talked about a lot. So what is the accent that we're going to be using? There's a lot of that mid-Atlantic stuff being thrown around. And kind of over time, I think we all gravitated to a really a good place, and I think that everyone took as much of the research as possible into account, and then at some point you have to own it and move forward. And I think I'll be happy with it. I'm excited to see what the reaction is to my accent. It's my first time doing an English accent on and on in an on-camera job, so that's always cool to see.
No one's going to be listening to your voice.
Does that mean you're going to be shirtless a lot?
No, actually, it's funny. I expected to be a lot more naked and shirtless more than I was. There's actually the costume department is so fantastic that it'd be a shame not to use a lot of the costume pieces they give you.
I offered to get naked and shirtless, and Starz kept saying, "No, Mark, you put your clothes on. We want the show to be a success, so we'll let six packs do the work, but you'll be keeping your clothes on." I offered several times.
So since we haven't seen it yet, could you describe your character?
I play Max. I play a young woman who is a local prostitute in Nassau. She's a very grounded and manipulative young woman who I think at the end of the day is someone who wants to lead a very simple life and wants to love and be loved due to her circumstance and what's happened to her and the people that she's involved with in her life. She's forced to be kind of a brutal person.
I play Captain Charles Vane, who is an historical pirate who existed in reality in the early 1700s in the Bahamas and beyond, who lived and died as a pirate. He's an uncompromising man who does what he wants to do. My father always used to say, it's a great saying, if you take what they give you, you deserve what you get. And I think that really sums up Charles Vane. He's not someone who's into taking what's being given out. He's into taking what he thinks is his and what he wants. And that's, I think, a definitive character for a lot of people in this show. It's people who don't want to necessarily follow the rules, so to speak.
I play Mr. Gates, who is the quartermaster of the pirate ship Rose, and he's Captain Flint's oldest ally and friend. And also this political figure on the boat, which is historically how it was done. Pirate ships were actually quite democratic in the way they voted for people for power, and the boatswain and the quartermaster basically ran the ship. Some ships, only in the time of actual battle, did the captain have complete and total control of the ship. and they all signed their names to supporting the captain when they're in battle. When they weren't in battle, the quartermaster ran the ship, and this made him the nexus for both the expression of the will of the crew and what they wanted, and how that was then, that message was given to the captain. So the position of the quartermaster is right in the centre of this political intrigue, and although Gates is, loyal, fiercely loyal to Pitt, he is also a pragmatist. He knows he has to negotiate and manipulate and bribe and sometimes cajole the crew and other people into supporting his cause so he can support Flint.
Did you guys study up on the time period to get a better feel for how to act and how things were?
Yeah, I think we all did a lot of research. I mean, there's really a lot of information out there available. There's so many books that have been written about this day, and a lot that are actually currently popular. It's funny. I remember I went to go buy some books, and I went into Barnes and Noble, and there's like a pirate section. There's literally, and you're like, wow, and you just go, where do I start? But there's really a great deal of information. And then just the world they created, the set itself, it's very easy to get into it on set, because when you look around and everyone around you is in period gear, and almost for as far as the eye can see, all you see is pirates. So
Stepping onto those boats, let me tell you, they built 2 full-sized pirate galleons, fully rigged boats, multi-decked, full-size, floating in about 2 acres of a tank of water, on gimbals so that they rocked. In terms of the size and the scale of this production, it's surreal. It's Michael Bay and Starz. You combine those 2 things, you have epic, mega proportions. But when you stepped onto the boats in costume, tooled up with props, you're a pirate. And let's face it, who doesn't have it?
I was going to ask you how much was green screen, because it looks fantastic and it looks so real. So
Very
it's
little,
all
actually.
real?
Yeah, very little, because all they had to do is put it around the boat, for instance. If we were shooting one way and you had a view out over the side, we're in the middle of the African plain, basically, right outside Cape Town Airport. So you looked out from the boat, and beyond the town, there's green African bush going in all directions. So if it was shooting in a particular direction, they put the green screen up for that. But really, there wasn't that.
No, they really built a huge set, so we didn't really need to experience that much green screen.
Right.
Yeah, and all the green screen stuff that was used, it's not like in the studio green screen. It's like maybe 100 yards that way. There's some green screen they put up because they're going to want to do like a sunset shot, back in there. But so it's not like everything here, what we're holding and what's happening, that's all real, and the CGI takes place in the distance. And so I think that's kind of the best uses of CGI. It's not like what you're seeing isn't real.
There was no point, about you guys, there was no point where I was actually stood in front of the green screen doing a scene with something or somebody that wasn't
nothing
there.
Like that ever happened.
Nothing like that ever happened. Which is how you get sometimes you look at it and go, that guy really doesn't look like he's in this scene, or is he talking, what is he talking to? You know what I mean? But we never had to do that. We were in the scenes together, working eyeball to eyeball.
Your producer has called this the definitive pirate show. Can you talk about what that means to you?
Which producer is this?
You know what? I took notes last night, and I don't know.
I feel like
I
it'd
don't
be John
remember.
or Robert.
Anyway,
Robert
so can you talk about what you think makes you so special?
Well, I think our show is special because it's an attempt to do what I think many people have always wanted to see from pirates. Not the broad representation that we see a lot, like the Disney representation. It's really the nitty-gritty real, what it was like in this day and age. It's not, while there is a lot of romance to pirates, in the day-to-day life, they're doing a lot of stuff, and they're dealing with a lot of hard realities, like needing to keep the crew together, living on boats where that's what makes it definitive. Really, is that you're usually used to seeing pirates who I think have already gotten the treasure, and this is about people who are really scratching tooth and nail to just stay alive in a very tough world. and that's why I think it's different.
I agree. It reminds me of almost like all different kinds of dogs. I just think of pirates as stray dogs, just completely selfishly living, in this desperate way. And it's a very visceral show. It's going to be very real. It's like taking a history class in a lot of ways. I don't mean because the characters are real, even though some of them were. It just is the first time I feel like we've ever seen something on TV where you get a true sense of, oh, that's what it was like to really be a pirate. And there's just nothing else that really gives you that.
I think as well, I was asked this question earlier on, I think for this foreseeable future as well, the show is resonating, will resonate, and pirates resonate with what's happening in the world today. We're going through an evolution, socially, civilization of information technology. And just at that period, 1715, the British Navy, although it ruled the oceans, there was revolutions and uproar in Europe. They were discovering new lands and new places. People's view was changing and evolving, religion-wise, politically. And I think it resonates now because the world seems to be going through the same sort of thing. The kids are now turned on to, they can get any information they want within 2 seconds. Well, you have to talk to anybody, say, over 60, and this is like magic. It's having a revolutionary effect on civilization and culture. And I think so, because we've got that embedded in this show, in terms of what's happening politically and socially, this is going to be around for a long time, because it's resonating with the world.
People forget that.
What about the stereotypical things we think of pirates? Are we going to have parrots and walking the plank and plundering other ships and arg? Or people are going to say arg?
You just said arg, didn't you?
The whole idea was to, I think, redefine the popular opinion about this, and to not go broad. It's not a broad show. It's not broad like that. It's very specific, and I think John says a great job. Steinberg, showrunner, he's like the note was just that if it's not real, it doesn't belong on the show. And if it seems like this is a broad representation, it's not here.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but even the slightest thing with hair and makeup, if something felt like a dreadlock felt too thick, there was always a sense on set all the time. It's got to be real. It's got to be real. Like it was imperative 24/7. Something that was always playing. So no.
What are your hopes and expectations for fan reaction? Creatively and enthusiastically.
I just want people to have a really good time when they watch it. I just want people to love it and want to tune in every week and be really enthusiastic and enjoy and pick a favorite character, because there's so many main characters, and follow their journey.
Yeah, I think the reaction we were looking for is what we seem to be getting here at Comic-Con. It's really amazing to see how many people are very excited about it, and the show hasn't even aired yet. So we just hope that people keep up the excitement and we keep getting to being a pirate. So that's what we like about it.
I'm a fan. Look, if there was an Enterprise now, I'd be on it. And so if any of the fans see this show and they want to be a pirate and on that boat, then I think we've achieved that.
Absolutely. All right, guys, we're going to switch it over. Thank you very much.